consider myself, quote, focused as an author, but I've been in the dance world since I was 15, and I'll be 80 this coming September, so I've been in it a long time, and touring has always been part of it. I did bring a few other books, just to talk about those first. This is actually the first book I wrote. It's called Becoming the Dance Flamenco Spirit. One of my definitions for artistry is becoming. I know it sounds kind of profound, but a lot of people, we talk about it. As a dancer, you're not dancing, you are the dance. And I think a sculptor feels the same way, or you're the painting at that time. There's a word in Spanish called duende, which kind of means souls. That's a word that we use. It's got a lot of soul, stage presence, whatever it is. Musicians become the music. And so the title of that, and there was very little in Spanish. I was teaching at the University of Washington in Bellingham, Washington, and I was head of a thing called the Hispanic Dance Institute. So this book is interesting. It's kind of the more spiritual end, or the inside of flamenco, and this is kind of chapter form. It actually inspired the way I wrote it from, and not relating to Khalil Gibran's Prophet, but it's one of those books you can open any page and see something different. Well, this is that book. So there's all kinds of chapters in here related to flamenco in all its facets, but it's not a how-to-do book. And of course, this book that we've been advertising is more on the tour. Now, getting into that, I want to tell you a little bit of story. I think it's really exciting when a person finds out who they are, but sometimes, I don't know if people here believe in destiny or any whatever that is, but at very early age, I was an auto mechanic. My dad died when I was 4.5. I went to work in a gas station at 10. Those days they didn't care if you're a child, pump gas for 25 cents a day. Anyway, by the time I was 15, I had these father figures in this auto shop that didn't replace things, and I'm making a point of this. It was a very creative, I call it the creative auto shop, is when you repaired things. And I relate it to this day to dance and choreography and movement. I had these two wonderful father figure bosses that it was like, you do it right or don't do it at all. And you fix it right. And some car would come in and you repaired it. They didn't buy parts all the time. You patch it up, you grind the valves, you do whatever you do. So I knew exactly what I was going to do. I mean, that was it by the time I was 15, 16. But right about that time, I love music. I was raised with music, Hungarian home. I'm first generation from Hungary here. My grandmother, I was raised by a grandmother that played a lot of gypsy music, violin, beautiful Hungarian gypsy violin. And I took a music appreciation course in high school, early high school. I love classical music. Anyway, make a quick story shorter, the teacher said, there's a symphony date at the Philharmonic Hall in LA, where I was raised, in those days, South LA. You go there, tell where the violins sit, etc., and I'll give you a special grade. Oh, great, I had a friend who wanted to go, we went. There was no symphony date there. It was Ana Maria y su baile español. It was a touring company from Spain. Curtain opens and all these gorgeous girls come out. Hi, Ellie.
Hi.
And all these beautiful, I'm 16 at this time, or 15, and beautiful dresses come out, and guys, and beautiful footwork and music and everything. And I said, God, that's interesting. And I'd love to see that again. Well, they were gone the next day. They were on tour. And that kind of hit something. And I had a friend that took me to their dance class, and I'll just leave it at that. All of a sudden, the bug bit. And by 1955, I had studied enough that a woman, Lola Montes, who was a wonderful dancer. She had been with Carmen Amaya and a lot of the greats. And she had a company, a book by a community concert series, which is still going on in many, many little towns by Columbia Artist Management. So she needed a boy. I auditioned for her, and in 1955 I did a 42-state tour with her. And in those days it was the first tours. It was 255 Chevys. We left LA. I'd never been out, and heading for Pennsylvania was our first place, and we got stuck in the snow. I'd never seen snow in my life. So it was an amazing thing, and there wasn't any Agony yet. I was 20 years old, I think. And so the Agony part hadn't happened yet because it was too exciting. And it was when Motel 6s were $6 and gas was, 20 cents a gallon. So that's how it started. And in the bug bit, there's something about a dancer. And I've done a lot of analyzing this because I'm not performing that much anymore, although I do once in a while. The mind stays young, but the body, I don't do knee drops anymore unless I push myself up. But it's a very funny thing, analyzing this book when I wrote it, or over a period of time writing these stories, is because I never kept journals. I just was too excited and always doing something. When you're not performing, you're rehearsing. So you're spending 90% of the time not dancing. But that's the bug, that's the addiction. When you finally get it all together and you go on stage and you've done your 5 minutes, your 10 minutes, your 20 minutes, it's something that if it's you, and I think musicians and I think anyone that finds what, I'm getting a little, kind of off the track here a little bit, but when you find what you truly love, all the rest doesn't mean a damn bit. It's aiming for that thing, and I'm sure musicians, I'm sure Papa Lucia playing this music, plays a piece and, he's going to play another piece. And all of it to get there was all those thousands of hours of rehearsals. And, but you complain a lot. Touring is hard. Think about it. In the old days, and now the touring of companies, even big money companies, they'll travel maybe in super buses or planes or what. But back in those days, touring by station wagon, you would do maybe averaging on the West Coast, especially in the United States. I've toured 50 states and 26 countries, so I'm talking the states right now. On the West Coast, minimum is probably 300 or 400 miles between concerts. Think of LA to Phoenix, or Phoenix to Salt Lake, or then you'd have to backtrack and go down to Albuquerque and then shoot over to Dallas and then back up. The tour managers didn't give a damn about you. They got your itinerary. You want to work? Fine, here it is. And they put it down, and they send you an itinerary, and you did it. So you're sitting in the car most of the time. You're eating fast food most of the time. And all the drama is non-existent until you get on stage. And then it's like you gotta look like you've completely relaxed. I feel wonderful, even though I'm dying. I slept in a shitty bed. It's a crappy $2 hamburger. But I come out on stage looking fantastic. And then you get in the car and you're willing to do it again. And so this is full of stories about that.